welcome in. My name is Megan and this is my journal. I've just wrapped this up after honestly a couple of years of working in this notebook, so I thought today I would love to take you on a little tour of this notebook. This was my first experimentation with more of the junk journaling style journaling. Still got a lot of words in here, but also a lot of stickers and ephemera and inserts. As a kid, I used to add little inserts between the pages and add drawings to my entries and such. But for the most part, over the years, I have stuck to only words, which, there's no better or worse way to journal. There's no correct way. But I wanted to give it a try. Seemed like something fun to add into my journal. I was having trouble actually getting into my journal every night and putting in the time and attention that it does take to create a daily journal habit. And you'll see this was also my first journal where I didn't force myself to write every single day, which was very novel for me. I had spent the last 8 or 9 years forcing myself to do this daily log to document every single day. And I'm very, very glad that I have those days. But I had gotten to a point, I think in my life also, where I was finding myself with lots of boring days. And that's something that journaling really did highlight for me. So I allowed myself to actually take days off. If I didn't feel like I had anything to say, or if I was half falling asleep as I was picking up my journal. So you will notice this journal spans from January 1st, 2024 to summer of 2025, which is probably the longest I've ever stayed in one notebook. So let me go ahead and give you the tour. I decorated the cover with stickers, which was quite fun. We went to Colorado at one point during this journal, so I got a couple of stickers there. And we've got just a Dunkin' coffee label, which is fading quite nicely, and then a little bit of washi tape, which is peeling up a bit, but that kind of helps keep that down. Then we've got this cute beanie baby. If you watched my 90s nostalgia journaling video, you probably recognize him and you got to see me put him on there. The colors just matched so perfectly. I'm so pleased with that. Let's open it up. I have seen people do some fun things with this inside cover front page. I never really got around to it. We'll see. Maybe I will add a little something in here at some point, but it was not a big deal to me. And then we get right into my journaling. One thing you will notice right away is the bleed from my stamping. I really wanted to be able to use stamps in this, but I've kind of faded out of doing it really quickly because you have to be prepared for very much being able to see what's going on the other side when you do that. So to start, I really was just using washi tape and stickers. I used my label maker here, and then stamps. And for every day, I used my date stamp, which I like the look of. I don't know that I would do that again, simply because that adds one more bulky item to have to carry around if I am journaling from somewhere else. So it slowed the process down a tiny bit, but man, I do kind of like how that looks. And as I was starting out, I really wanted to do something special for every page, whether it was stickers or stamping or washi. I wanted each page to be distinct, and I kept up with that pretty well to start. This is the name of our D&D campaign, and since we spent the entire day playing, I filled up a whole page with just marker and free-handed letters. I will say this is just regular Crayola washable marker, and it bled so badly. It worked out very nicely that I wanted to use this old craft paper bag for the background of this page because, oh boy, it was not pretty at first. Got another page of stickers, and you'll see I have some of these pages blocked off just for privacy reasons. I've covered up some things and am not showing some pages just because this is my actual journal and I don't want to keep myself from writing things from my life just because I don't want to share them with everyone everywhere. So that is just a disclaimer that there are more pages in here than what I'm showing today, even though I did pull out a few pages just because I didn't want it to get too bulky. So you can see it's pretty thick already. So I did pull out a few pages ahead of time just to make sure that it wouldn't bulk up so much that it didn't even look like a notebook anymore. We've got our trip to Disney World. These photos you'll see are actually misprints from my scrapbook. Either misprints or I decided I wanted a different size or something, and I didn't want those photos to go to waste, so this seemed like the perfect place to stick those in. I did some drawings. This is something I do wish I had done more, and I think I want to do more in the future. These were just some little sketches of the food we ate that day. I just sketched them out with my pencil, went over them in pen, and then colored it in with colored pencil. And I love the way they turned out. I definitely want to do that some more. Just some random ephemera that I collected while we were there. I accidentally grabbed an extra Epcot map, and so I was like, well, we can do something with that, and just made it a full page spread. I think it's so cute. Back home now, and this was our anniversary. I had all of these little pictures from our wedding that, as you can see, were like super misprinted. I think I must have been running out of ink or something. And I initially printed them for display in our house, so I thought, yeah, I can't frame something with that much discoloration, but I did save them for some sort of crafty project, and this was perfect. So I tucked a few of those in on that spread. And then you start to see where I'm slowing down a bit on decorating, because this is all just washi tape. Something else you'll notice is all these little charms. These just came out of my jewelry making stash. I went through a phase of jewelry making, even though I don't wear that much jewelry. So I had all of these little charms just kind of laying around. And what I did was loop them onto paper clips and stick them onto pages that were pretty relevant. So this little sun I clipped onto the solar eclipse. Thought that was a cute little signifier. This little like wine mom aged to perfection charm came off of a very wine themed bracelet that I'd made and still had laying around. And so I stuck that on my birthday. And then I had a little best friends set of charms, and I put the friends one on when we had some friends visiting. I think they're just such fun little notebook jewelry. And they mark certain days that if I did want to go back and check them out, it would be really easy to reference those days. This was another thing that I had printed for my scrapbook and didn't end up having the space for, so I stuck it in here, my first listen of the Tortured Poets Department, and I love how this turned out with the washi tape and everything. Never would have noticed that it wasn't completely intentional. Some more just random washi tape pages, and these are fine too. Not super exciting, but not every page has to be. This is where it gets fun, in my opinion. This was our trip to Colorado, and I had these vintage postcards in my stash, and I think they're so pretty. This one was from Garden of the Gods, which we went to on this trip, and so I just taped it in as a little insert. So cute. And then I matched the stickers that I added with the colors on this, and I love how that turned out. Then we've got this extra ribbon from Casa Bonita. If you're ever in Colorado, you absolutely have to go. It's one of my favorite restaurants. And this was actually an over 21 bracelet. If you thought you might want to get a drink at any point, you had to get your ID checked at the door and then get a little bracelet. And I thought, oh my gosh, this will make the cutest little bookmark. So as you can see, up here at the top of the spine is where the bookmark that comes with the journal comes out of, and all I did was use a combination of like a pencil and scissors and just some long objects to tuck this ribbon down into this space in the spine. And it makes the perfect little bookmark to mark the beginning of our trip. My gosh, I love how that turned out. So cute. I've got a few more pages of just random ephemera from the trip. This was all cut out from one of the handouts from the national park. Another extra print from the scrapbook, and then just a big cutout from the map. Love having that in here. And then this is where I took a bit of a break. As you might have been able to tell, even though I prefer to do my journaling day of, I did have to do some catching up when I was doing this. And you can tell because of just how much ephemera is tucked in and then the text wraps around it. So I spent a decent amount of energy trying to catch up. And I think that just burned me out a little bit from journaling every day. And I'd been collecting all of my ephemera still, but I was not writing like I wanted to be. So this spread is kind of just the whole end of 2024. I put all of the things that I wanted to in my scrapbook and still had some leftover bits and bobs, tags, tickets. And so I just made a full collage spread of all of the things I just had left over from my memory keeping. And then suddenly we're in March. This was a little cabin getaway we did for our next anniversary, and I just knew I had to journal about this. It was such a fun, relaxing weekend. This was a little wrap for some s'mores that they provided, which was so much fun. I am a little concerned. The graham cracker definitely left some oil in this. It's kind of gross looking now. It didn't used to look that bad. I'm very careful with putting food stuff in my journals. I don't want any food residue in there, so we'll see if that gets pulled out for the sake of making sure this stays archival. We've got a very mediocrely drawn goose. They had a lot of geese at this lake where we were staying, and they had corn for you to feed the geese. So much fun. So I wanted to have a picture of them in there. Not my best drawing. Not my worst, though. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's the memory that's important. And then not too long after that, I finished reading Little Women, which, as you can tell, I had lots of thoughts about. It was my first time reading it, and let's just say I get the hype now. I understand why everyone's so into it, and I just had to write down all of the thoughts I was having about it. You can see here I was getting very fascinated with especially the Hobonichi journalers who are journaling in 2 columns on one page, and I really wanted to try that out. Even though I didn't have a grid paper journal, I just went ahead and used a gray colored pencil to draw a very, very faint guiding line so that I could test out the multiple columns. It was very fun. And then all of the decorations are just cutouts from a home decor catalog. I love how that turned out because they have so many cute furniture items that I totally can't afford in those, but I just cut them out and used them as my decorations here. This is another thing you'll recognize if you watched my 90s nostalgia journaling video. This is when I got my American Girl sticker book. Oh boy, I was so excited to use this. I did the 2 columns again and then just covered it with my new stickers and a little piece of ephemera. This was from the box of a light bulb that I had to swap out. I believe it was when I got a new lamp. This was my family Easter celebration. Lots of magazine clippings, lots of extra stickers from back in my Happy Planner days. I am still working through those, and it's been a few years now. I got a stamp from some mail, a very collage-y spread here overall. I love how this page turned out. This is just a full page magazine picture of a bouquet, and I cut it out, glued it down, and then this is just a post-it note with a couple of stickers on top of it. I think the colors on this are so fun. It's not really colors that I would usually use either, the purples and yellows, so this was a lot of fun. And then my sister was in a play. They did the Aristocats, so I went and just cut out all of the letters for this in random newspapers and ads that we got in the mail. And then from my American Girl sticker book, I just so happened to have stickers that matched all 3 of the kittens. So much fun. I thought that worked out so cute, and it's a very simple spread, but still packs a lot of punch, I think. This is probably one of my favorites. We've got my husband's birthday weekend. We went and picked strawberries at the farm, and I made a strawberry shortcake. This is not the one I made. I wish mine looked like that, but this was just cut out from a cookbook. I thought it was so pretty. And my intention was to write about the day before when we went to the farm, and then write about his birthday and fill up this whole page with words. Well, I fell behind on my journaling again. So this I did the day of, and then I could not remember most of what we did on his birthday after the fact. So I ended up having to fill in this page with just some marker word art. And it turned out well enough, I think. Another very collagey page. We've got snack packaging, we've got a crossword from the newspaper, we've got different stamps and stickers that I pulled off of mail. This must have been from a receipt in an Etsy order. Misprinted pictures, stickers, all sorts of things. These I cut out from the pasta box that I finished off. We've got a pepper sticker that came off of my vegetables. Cutouts from an advertisement. This came off of a new chair we got. All sorts of just random things. I was in a very collagey, dig through the recycle bin mood at this point, I think. This I also meant to be just a traditional journaling spread, but if you watched my travel journaling video where we went to Ohio, I didn't fill in this page before we went, so I needed to fill in with something. So what I ended up doing was just kind of writing out what our summer playlist has been, and then drawing a very large pair of headphones on this page. I think it turned out well. It wasn't my intention, but you know, we roll with it. We roll with whatever creative whims we end up with. This spread you may have seen already in my travel journaling video from our trip to Columbus. I put together this spread on camera just with some of the various bits we collected on the trip. Another travel page, another travel page, and then the last travel page. All of those are in my travel journaling video if you're interested to see how I put them together. We were a little bit of a hot mess express, but we got it done. And then we are nearing my birthday, and we're terrible about giving presents early in this house. So these are all bits from my early birthday presents. My husband got me my Hobonichi from Jet Pens. So excited about that. I had to put the little sticker they sent. And then from Onion Labs, he got me a sticker sheet and then a couple of adorable washi tapes. Let me show you actually the tapes he got me. This like Japan travel set. It has all of these cute stamps on it. I have already used this so much. They're so cute. And then, let me get this one wrapped back up. He got me a Konbini set, which is equally adorable. You can definitely see he knows my taste. These are so cute. I've used a bunch of these already too. So these are the packaging from those 2 washi tapes. And then this is the business card that came with the package, which I just attached with little transparent photo corners so that I could always go back and reference the store info just in case I ever wanted to go back and buy more from them, which I know would be so shocking coming from me. We've got my birthday. I went out for a fancy lunch with my mom, so I used a bit of the ephemera. This is just an old envelope that I peeled open, some stickers, lots of fun stuff on there. And then I wrapped up this journal knowing that since I had my Hobonichi, I would need to have this wrapped up by the end of June, which perfectly coincided with a junk journaling get-together I found. It was so much fun. There were so many scraps. You can see I tried to use as many as possible just by shoving them all into a collage on this page. And then I have another page with more of the ephemera from that event. I made a little flip for the business cards of some of the people I met. And then we had a little junk journaling bingo. So I used a washi tape to mark off the spaces on that. And then that takes us to the end of the journal. I have a blank page in the back that I never filled out. It doesn't bother me too much. We'll see if I put any decoration or any words on that. So having gone through this whole journal, would I use a Moleskine again? Probably. I think I would probably do something a little less scrappy, a little less bulky, probably more words focused with just a few little things tucked in and out. I'm also considering using a Leuchtturm next time I end up in a journal that is more freeform, because right now I am still in my Hobonichi through the end of the year, and I'm having a lot of fun with this. I definitely still have a lot of creative energy and ideas for that format, but after 6 months in that, we'll see. I very well might be back into something more standard like this, but a little bit less frilly, I guess. Something a bit more messy and something that is able to handle my stamps a little better is kind of why I'm thinking a Leuchtturm might be next on my list to try out. It does work really well for my just regular ballpoint pen. It's the ink that's a big problem. And a bit of a spoiler, I do have plans to visit somewhere that does a lot of stamp rallies. So if I'm going to be doing a lot of stamping, I want to test out a journal that might be able to withstand that a bit better. But overall, I am very pleased with how this turned out and how the process felt. For the most part, I did enjoy writing in this. The feeling of the pen on the paper, the different pieces of ephemera I fit in. My only complaints really are the bleeding and that it gets so chunky. I know some people love getting their journals as chunky as possible. Respect to you. This is about as thick as I can stand to get it because I do prefer it to still look and feel like a notebook. I hope this notebook did give you a bit of inspiration for how you want to approach your journaling. Maybe some layout ideas, maybe just inspiration to sit down and write. That is about all I could ask for. Thank you so much for hanging out with me during this time. I've really been enjoying sitting down and sharing my crafty and writing projects with you guys. You all have left so many sweet comments, and I love just having this space to chat about journaling with you. So please, if you have any thoughts or questions or ideas, definitely put them down in the comments, and I would love to chat some more. But in the meantime, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.